And welcome to another episode of the Living Large Theater Podcast. Billy Santiago here along with my good friend of 37 years, Gary Rodriguez, super producer Noe Ayala. Reach out to us on Gmail at livinglargetheater@gmail.com. We're available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime, and now on YouTube. Hashtag Living Large Theater Podcast. Reach out to us if you want to become a sponsor of this fine program. 956-451-1633. Rate it, share it with a friend, leave a comment, and more importantly, hit that subscribe button.
And don't forget, when you enter the Living Large Theater, admission is free. All you need is a sense of humor and a hunger for entertainment.
Hunger.
Me and Billy, recently the very first guests on Bobby Pulido's YouTube podcast. Noe was there.
What an honor that was, Gary.
What do you think?
I had a good time.
We covered a lot of territory. I'm sure they're going to edit it. Unlike our show, we're raw, man. I mean, one of our guests farts. Guess what? You're going to hear it. We'll smell it. You hear it.
One of our guests walks off the set.
Yeah, that's right.
You hear the footsteps.
Yeah. We don't edit shit, man.
Yeah.
It's a great thing, and I'm happy for Bobby. And
Now, explain to our listenership what's Bobby's intention with the podcast he's doing, Gary.
The podcast, I think, is established to help him explain some of his viewpoints, underwrite the values that he was brought up under with his father, Roberto Pulido, the longtime legendary Tejano superstar, and his mother, Diana. They raised very good children, and Bobby's already announced his farewell tour. And a lot of speculation is that he is going to run for office. What? We don't know.
In 2026, right?
2026, maybe 2027, 28. I don't know. And, he's keeping the cards close to his chest. But I was just honored that he invited us to be his very, very first guest. And, this show's 30 minutes. Sometimes we'll push it to 45, I think has been our max. But we did a whole hour with Bobby
I can't believe
Pulido.
that. We were just flowing.
It
man.
went really quick.
We were going from one topic to another, having some great political discussions.
Yeah, it went really quick, and
and we were civil, man. You didn't threaten them or anything like that. You didn't pull your 9mm out or anything.
I carry a .380. Thank you.
You didn't throw a chair at anybody.
Man.
No, man.
Bobby's one of the most kind individuals that I've ever met.
You didn't throw any F-bombs.
I was biting my tongue, man. I was biting my tongue.
I knew it. I knew it.
It was hard. It was his show. I didn't want to, I guess for lack of a better term, I didn't want to shit on his show. I wanted him to appreciate us being there. I wanted to help him. Whatever his goal is, I wanted to be a part of the success of that.
Well, Gary, knowing you for 37 years and having seen you work, doing interviews and stuff, you did an amazing job of getting Bobby's political views out and discussing it in such a way that, you know what? You weren't wrong and he wasn't wrong.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what he says, a lot of people will agree with.
Right.
The elephant in the room, as he referred to me wearing my Trump cap on television, the elephant in the room is if he runs for anything, he's already said he's going to run as a Democrat. And when Trump ran for re-election here in 2024, the entire valley went red. I'm talking about Willacy County, Cameron County, Hidalgo County, and Starr County. Is that going to be a mountain too big for Bobby to climb? I don't know, man. I know.
So you don't think it was an anomaly? It's a trend that the RGV is going more red now?
Well, I think it could go either way, and I'm not going to say one way is right, one way is the other. Bobby himself said it was an anomaly because Trump won Starr County, but the guy who was running for sheriff, a Republican, lost to the incumbent Democrat sheriff. And, politics are fickle. And I love politics, man. I think, politics gets my energy up. It gets my brain cells moving.
Well, see, you and I can have discussions and have disagreements,
Yeah.
but we're civil about it. I can't have these conversations with my brother Joe on the phone because he gets all his panties in a wad, man,
Yeah.
and just starts screaming and hollering, and you just wait. I'm going like, dude, calm
So is he
down.
pro-Trump or
Oh, dude, he's anti-Trump, man.
anti-Trump?
He hates Trump, man.
You know what I do if I was having a conversation with Joe, and I know Joe. Joe's a good guy, but he has his opinion, and what I do is after a discussion or a debate. I love debate, man. I think I am an awesome debater. I debated UTPA professor Sam Freeman in the student union building on the campus of UTPA back in 2001 after the terrorists hit, because he went to the Monitor and said, well, today America got what America deserved. America is a rogue nation. And I wrote a letter to the Monitor challenging him to a debate, and to my horror, he accepted. So we debated there in the student union building, standing room only, over 500 people there, and I knew it was going to be contentious because when we walked on stage, he wouldn't shake my hand, and I'm like, okay, now I know the arena I'm in, and we debated, and at the end of this, that was a 90-minute debate, and at the end of the debate, a lot of the people, students that he had told he would give extra credit to in his political science class if they went to the debate. A lot of them came up to me after the debate and said, you know what, we agree with you more than we agree with Professor Freeman, but I need that extra credit. And I said, you know what, I get it. I understand. So, you know, politics is something that, first of all, I love giving my opinion on
And you have no problem with that.
essentially anything. Well, because, you know, my opinion, it doesn't make me smarter than anybody.
You know what they say about opinions, right?
Yeah, I know, and I am one.
Okay.
But I try not to be. But you know,
Okay.
my opinion is not based on me thinking I'm, you know, the smartest guy in the world. I give my opinion because my opinion is based on the reading that I do, the way I see people treat each other, and how dastardly man has been to man since man was made. And, you know, and I listen to people who I think are a lot smarter than me. People like Keith Fox from Fox Packaging and Solutions, George Bose, he owns Benchmark Construction, Johnny Carrillo from Vicks Auto Rebuilders, Jack Carithers, who's in the transport business, Hector Ramos, who is, you know, he does DME, he's had restaurants, Gerald Simpson, he owned Carpet Express, Ward Thomas, who owns Majestic Studios and Majestic Produce, Luis Elizondo, who works, you know, in the paper industry, cardboard and paper industry, Aaron Carlson, who is a pilot for USDA, Roy Duliba, who is also in the produce business. You know,
Now, these are all conservatives, right?
I don't know. They're probably not. There's a couple of those guys that I just mentioned who are Democrats.
Okay.
But here's the commonality. They're all successful. They're all intelligent. They're all creative, they're all responsible, and they're all heavily involved in benevolent causes that help other people. And I think that's why I'm here. I like helping people. And I've never said I'm right and you're wrong. What I will say is, you know, I don't think I changed your mind, and I know you didn't change my mind.
There's two things I learned early in life when I was in college. You don't argue religion and you don't argue politics, because neither one, you know, you're not wrong. You have your
Well,
opinion.
I think you're using a word that I could fix. It's not arguing; it's discussing. You know,
Discussing, okay.
Yeah. I'll discuss
Well,
politics all day long.
Sometimes, though, when you're discussing politics,
It
can
can.
get into
Well,
an argument. Yeah.
it can get it that
I
way.
also learned something too, is that you never trust a fart.
Yeah, you know, I remember when COVID came out, I had this guy that worked for me. He said,
Did he just say what I thought he just said?
yeah, he said, but I had a friend that when COVID happened,
No, he's one of those guys in high school, man. That was in the back of the car, and the car is packed, and we're driving down the highway.
Oh, I know.
And he cuts a silencer, and it smells of the storm.
he has his own picture at Nicky Rowe High School.
And he's sitting
I was
in
always
the
in
back
the front.
just
Sorry,
laughing.
Billy.
Oh, okay. Even in the front, man.
Hey,
God.
when COVID came out, this friend of mine, he said, you know, I used to cough to hide a fart. Now I fart to hide a cough. It was crazy. Hey, let's say hi to our sponsors, White Sands Marina Inn and Suites in Port Isabel, Texas. It's veteran-owned by Arnold and Corina Flores. White Sands offers a beautiful hotel a full-service restaurant, and an awesome bar. In addition, White Sands is on the water and gives you access to the best boat captains in South Texas. White Sands Marina Inn and Suites. Book your stay now at wsnnsuites.com. Also, the Texas sportsman Fred Rodriguez recognized by the Texas Senate as the premier hunting and fishing guide in South Texas, and Ward Thomas and Majestic Studios. Where would we be without Ward? We'd be back at the McAllen Public Library.
On the 16th floor, yeah.
Or back on the 16th floor of McAllen's tallest building. Listen,
by the dumpster.
if you're ready to record your next hit record, why not do it here at Majestic Studios? Now, speaking of my opinion, here's my opinion. I love God. I love America. I love Texas. I love the Rio Grande Valley of Texas. I had 6 solid job offers in radio that I could have accepted after the Mission bus crash back in '89. I turned them all down because I love this part of the country. And a guy that Billy and I used to work for, J.D. Gonzalez, told me one time, he said, Gary, if you're in the media business, meaning radio, TV, newspaper, magazine, and you're in the Rio Grande Valley, J.D. said you're here for one of 3 reasons. Number 1, you're on the upswing of your career, meaning you're just now starting out. Number 2, you're on the downswing of your career, meaning no one else will hire you, and you've probably burned bridges everywhere you went. Or number 3 is you like it here. And I'm number 3. I could have been gone.
I loved it here, yeah.
I could have been gone. I love it here, man. I want my kids to grow up here. And
Exactly.
I think this is, having been in the Army and traveled the world, I
get so quick, man. First 17 years of my life, man, as an Army brat, traveling all the time.
You've seen parts of the world, too.
Yeah.
And I've seen parts of the world. And Noe lived in Chicago.
I lived in a lot of places, and you know what? It's always brought me home for some reason.
Well, here we
It's
are.
always brought me home. Yeah.
I love the Rio Grande Valley. And when Billy and I were at B104, our complete focus was entertaining the listener and helping this community.
Playing the hits.
Yeah, with music, and whether you owned a business or if you were heading up some local charity or nonprofit, we were there to help. And for me, that's the only reason I went to work. And I just feel that I was fortunate to work at B104 with great people, and I've picked everybody's brain. I've stolen ideas and work ethics and entertainment ethics from people that I work with and people I work for, and even people that were under me. I always try to learn what makes people tick and what I can take from them to improve myself. And I think that's the name of the game. Let's go back to the Mission bus crash that I mentioned. That happened in 1989. I'm sitting there. You were there by then.
Yes.
And
I was on the air when you called.
Yes.
And I put you on the air.
Well, it started out earlier that morning with a Mad Mexican. And we're there, and we're in Edinburgh, and the ambulances took off, the fire trucks took off, the cop cars took off, and I'm just sitting there having coffee, and the Mad Mexican says, hey, man, something must be going on. Get in the van. We had the old yellow B104 van and see what's going on. So I followed all these emergency vehicles to where the Mission bus crash was, and I saw the bus in the water of a caliche pit. I didn't know what a caliche pit was. I just moved recently from Dallas. Now, I knew what a quarry was, but down here they call them caliche pits. So if you're not down here, think of a quarry, and the quarry had water in it, and the bus had fallen into the quarry, and it was on its side, and I just started reporting. I had the huge cell phone. It was, I guess they called it the brick, but this looked like a wall.
Those back phones we had back in the day. Yeah,
big phone. So I started calling in back to the station, went through the Mad Mexican's shift, and then you came on right after Mad. And, I was sending stories, not just back to the station, but I was sending stories to CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Company, the BBC, British Broadcasting Company, all around the world. So when that was done, as sad as it was, I got several job offers to,
you did a hell of a job, Gary.
People who worked at some of the radio stations that I was calling around the country started offering me jobs. Thank you, Bill. That means a lot. And, one of the things was it was the hardest thing to do out there, watching them pull in the little children from the bus. It was the hardest thing to do, to not start crying right there on the radio. You can't do that. I wanted to.
Well,
I felt like
some of your calls, man, I felt like you were getting ready to break up.
It was tough.
It was very
man.
emotional.
It was tough.
But you held it together, Gary, and You did a hell of a job, man. You made us proud, man.
Thank you, brother. And, that comes from working with people who instilled in me that you have a role to play and you have to be professional. Because if you're on the radio or the TV and you fall apart and you start bawling your eyes out, that takes a little bit away from your credibility. In fact, it was Dusty Hayes. You remember Dusty Hayes?
Right.
So my first day at B104 back in 1987, my very first newscast, I went by Gary West. And
Why was that, Gary?
Well, because everybody else had fake names. I'm like, fuck, I'll use a fake name. I'll be Gary West. So Dusty comes in there after I get off the air. He goes, hey, what are you doing? I go, what do you mean? He goes, where does Gary West come from? I said, well, Billy's real name is
Santos.
Guillermo Santos. Mad Mexican's real name is Richard Cortez, and everybody else is using fake name. I want to use a fake name. He goes, no. He goes, you're the news guy. You lose credibility when people find out you're using a fake name. So I'm like, fuck. Okay. So that's when I went back to
Gary Rodriguez,
my name. And, I'm glad I did. And, I learned a lot from Dusty Hayes.
My first radio name when I was working at this closed circuit radio station at Fort Hood. It only came out on the TV stations, on the TV sets inside the Fort Hood housing areas. And so I did afternoon drive 3 to 7. It was Johnny Vega.
That's a good name.
That was my because it was
that was you.
That was a DJ. It was a DJ in Puerto Rico.
Oh.
That I like listening to
and
when I was there.
And you took his name.
So I took his name, Johnny Vega. I thought that was such a cool name, man. And then when I got my first top 40 job in Killeen on KIXS 93.3, I went by the name of Bill St. John.
I know.
And then when I moved to the Valley in February of '88, Gary Dusty told me, he goes, hey man, we want to capitalize on your Hispanicness. So
yeah.
Let's get something.
Let's let everybody know you're a beaner.
So Santiago was Billy Santiago, okay?
Yeah.
And so check this out. So the first day I'm on the air, Gary, and I'm in and out doing some bilingual jock talk and all that. So I get off the air and Dusty looks at me. He goes, hey, you know what, Bill? You know that bilingual stuff?
Yeah, stop that shit.
Stop that, man. Nobody understands that Puerto Rican dialect, man.
Hey, coño. I got your coño here. Okay, throw some Puerto Rican at us.
That's all I know, man.
No, shit. Well, I hope it didn't take him long to tell you to stop that shit.
So I had to learn the Tex-Mex lingo.
Yeah.
And after a while, I got used to it.
Yeah, good
so
for you.
You worked with different genres, right? And what was the most transitional one that was hard for you to focus on as far as like change of time and so
Music?
Yeah.
It was early 90s, the grunge rock. It was grunge rock
That was
came
awful.
out.
That was awful.
It was
that was my high school music,
it was hip hop. It was hip hop. I gravitated more to hip hop.
Okay.
Yeah, back in the day. But
A hit.
I can't touch this.
So we we were responsible and we try to help everybody. Let's bring up a guy that we both know, Joe's Texaco, Joe Garcia. Now it's Joe's Master Automotive Service, but we started helping Joe way back in 1989, and we would call him, and the vans that we had at B104, nobody took care of them, nobody changed the oil, nobody put air in the tires, we barely put gasoline in them, and it was always last minute. Hey, you got to go to Western Auto and do a remote. Okay, well let me go. So invariably, those vans turned into big yellow hunks of shit, and they would break down in the morning, in the afternoon, at night, and overnight. And Joe Garcia we would call him in the middle of the night.
He would come tow us.
And he would come tow us, but his only vehicle at the time to tow was a Volkswagen Beetle. So it would look funny. He would be pulling this huge Chevy van down the street using a Volkswagen Beetle. So we eventually worked out a trade deal with him. Explain trade.
Trade is when, we trade out services for advertising. And Joe provided us.
Well, we got fuel
services.
from him.
We got gas, and then our
we got
vehicles
gas
broke
from
down.
him. Yeah,
he would fix our vehicles.
He would fix them. That's exactly right. So, he started out with us, and we started having him come into the studio every morning, and he would come in my office, and him and I would do a 60-second commercial about Joe's Texaco, and now the guy's a legend down here. He's got his own
Well,
following.
there's where the saying the brotherhood came from.
Yeah,
from
that's
you
right.
guys in the morning.
That's right. He has his own following. He has Brotherhood TV. He's always on with Rock and Roll James on Rock and Roll James's podcast. And, you know, I like to feel that B104
Had a little something to do with it.
blazed that trail for Joe's Texaco, now Joe's Master Service, to be what it is today. And you know what? He gives us all the credit. He every time I see him, hey brother, want to thank you. Want to thank you for what you did for us way back when. You know, so you know, the purpose that we had in at B104 was, you know, we did so much, man. We did the Freddie Gonzalez statue.
Memorial Day Fiesta.
Actually, it's a bust. Freddie Gonzalez
Took us 3 years
the
to
Medal
come
of
up
Honor
with the
winner.
money to get it done.
Yeah, he's a Medal of Honor winner. He was a Marine who was killed in Vietnam and got the Congressional Medal of Honor, you know. And then one day we're sitting there and we're thinking, what can we do for this guy? So Billy and I put our heads together. We talked to a guy that worked for Austin Sculptors in South Far, and he gave us a price, and that was for the full statue. And we said, well, we'll probably never be able to raise that, you know. So he said, well, you can do a bust for $3,500. And then we got to work on the Freddie Gonzalez Memorial Day Fiestas. Tell us about that.
Well, so we got music groups. Back then in the 90s, record labels were letting their new artists, up-and-coming artists, go out and do radio shows. They were promotional dates, and they just kind of play to a music track. Some groups came, you know, with their instruments and stuff like that, and so they would go around the country promoting their new album or you know, whatever they're doing, and they would do these shows to these radio stations. So, you know, for 3 years we were able to get some pretty popular groups. We had Bonnie Tyler when her song was big. Remember that?
Yeah.
We had
Jamie Walters.
yeah, Maximilian.
Yep.
Remember him?
Yep.
We had who were the Cover Girls? I think we had the Cover Girls here. One of those.
Oh, yeah.
One of those Spanish female groups that came down.
Yeah, yeah.
And we had.
I wish we'd have got TLC down here and left Eye Lisa Lopes.
This is before they hit it big.
Yeah.
Once they hit it big,
Yeah,
it was
no,
out of the question.
they're not coming here.
So anyway, we did that for 3 years, and we raised money to get the bus.
We got the bus. It's still there, corner of Freddie Gonzalez and 18th Street.
There you go. So every time you drive by, then you see that Freddie Gonzalez bus.
Yeah, we did it.
You said that's the bus Gary and Billy were talking
Yeah,
about.
we built it. We did it. We did it. Now, we didn't do it for any fanfare. We did it for the Marine Sergeant Freddie Gonzalez and his mother, Dolia. Now, I knew Dolia very well. She was a waitress at the Echo Hotel. Very nice.
lady.
She's since passed on. But, you know, what we also did, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the bus that we put there at the corner on the pedestal, the marble pedestal there, we had another bust made just like it that we gave her to her house. And she cherished that. She treasured it because, you know, that's her son. He went off to war and he never came back, you know. And I think what I'm trying to stress here is that, you know, being in radio for us, we were part of the fabric of the community, man. We did it all. We led the way. A couple of other things we did, Special Olympics with Al Diaz. Al Diaz was the executive director down here of Special Olympics, and we'd put him on the radio. And you know, that was always a cherry that was always near and dear to me because, fortunately, all three of my kids came out, you know, perfect.
Right.
You know, but that's not a guarantee, and sometimes kids need help along the way. And you know, I'll always credit Special Olympics and Al Diaz for what he did, especially that time he came in and we were talking about it, what was happening. They were having a big festival to raise money for Special Olympics, and I know he meant to say we're going to have a big kiddie tent, but he said on air we're going to have a big titty tent, and I'm like, all right then, hello. I know he knows. Easter Seals. We used to raise money for Easter Seals, and I would MC their gala. You know, Girl Scouts. J.D. Gonzalez and I, we dressed up one
As
time.
Girl Scouts, I
we
remember
dressed
that.
up as Girl Scouts. J.D. had the culottes. I had the skirt. And we went to a shopping center in South McAllen on a Saturday selling Girl Scout cookies. And J.D. Gonzalez and I don't care.
You look good in the dress, Gary, I got to admit.
Well, we need a buzzsaw to shave my legs, but we we hold the record. JD and I, we sold 467 boxes of Girl Scout cookies in one day. Now, whether that's recorded anywhere, I don't know. And guess what? I don't care. I know we did.
So, what was your favorite cookie that you got?
Tagalongs.
The tagalongs?
Yeah, but that was then. This is now. They don't taste the same. They taste more chemically now.
Really?
Yeah, to me, I'm an idiot. I could be wrong.
My favorite ones were the coconut.
Billy liked the do-si-dos.
Do-si-dos.
Yes.
When they would come, the Girl Scouts would come to the radio station, like starting in January. They'd come in January, February, and March during their cookie drive.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time they would come to the radio station, they'd bring a bag of boxes of cookies, man. We had cookies coming out of our ears for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Every year.
They all seem to somehow end up at Billy's kitchen.
Hey,
Junior
settle
League,
down, Skippy,
Junior
settle
League of
down.
McAllen. We would always help Junior League of McAllen. They always had that event around Christmas called Dias Festivos, and that was a big deal. It was great and something that we did to give back to the community.
And the Toys for Tots campaign with the Marine
Toys
Corps.
for Tots. Marines would always come
Every
in,
year,
and we would raise toys for Tots. McAllen Police Department, they always had National Night Out every August, and we would talk about it on the radio, and I would go MC it. And then teach the children. Remember that?
Channel 5's Teach the Children.
Channel
We
5's
did Beach
Teach the
Bash
Children.
out there.
Yeah,
everybody
Beach
we
Bash.
raised.
We had a softball game with Donnie Osmond because Leti Valadez, one of the anchors, was madly in love with Donnie Osmond. And who got him down here? Y'all or them?
No, we got him down here.
We got.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? No, Donnie Osmond coming down here wearing purple socks and playing softball against us knuckleheads. And to me, that says a lot. So I'll never forget the time that we raised. I think it was like $3,000, and we went to Channel 5 to give them the check. And some lady said, "Well, how did you raise this money?" We said, "Well, we had concerts on the island." And she says, "Well, was alcohol served?" And well, yeah, of course. That's what this check is from. We can't take that money. If alcohol was sold, we can't take that money.
And the bad thing about doing Beach Bash, I don't know if we ever shared this with our super producer Noe. If you had, there was no glass bottles allowed on the beach. So if you had glass, beer in a glass bottle, you had to pour it
into a cup
or into one of those plastic
or in your
containers.
mouth.
Yeah, or chug it real quick. So that got old real quick after a couple of years for me, anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know how you felt about that, Gary.
I didn't care. We always had our own beer. I remember one time we had it was New Kids on the Block, and the promoter was a guy named Chris Julian, great guy. I love him.
This is the 4th of July fajita cook-off.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And we had New Kids on the Block
In
and
Mission.
Taylor Dane on the same bill.
Mm-hmm.
And so Billy and I go in through the back fence because we're in the B104 van, and Chris Julian comes up and he goes, "Hey, how y'all doing?" And we said, "We're good, man. We're ready for the day." And Billy and I had loaded up probably about 2 or 3 cases of beer. And Chris Julian looks in the back of the van through my window because I'm driving, because I always drive. And he sees the beer back there. And he goes, "Hey, what are y'all trying to do? Fuck up my pachanga?" So
Oh,
that was the riders that we had to be obligated to.
Is the radio station still doing something like how you guys used to do it?
No,
They don't do that.
They cut back. They cut back on a lot of that.
They don't even give the time and temperature, man. The radio shot itself in the nuts by being stupid, man.
So they're no longer doing stuff like that.
I'm sure there's some shows, but now you have to. They would come back when we were doing them in the '90s. They would come as a promotional date.
So back then,
and-
was there just one organization that owned the radio station, or like how it is now? iHeart owns most of them, right?
Well, before the telecom bill in '96, there were a lot of ma and pa operations.
I always worked for Mom and Pa.
Yeah.
And then when the telecom bill passed, it gave the bigger companies opportunities to buy up these smaller companies. Next thing you know, you got 3 or 4 companies own all the radio
Yeah.
stations in the U.S. I mean, like Clear Channel, when they bought us, they had over 800 radio stations.
I always worked for Mom and Pa Changa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so no longer, they're not doing anything like that no more.
Dude, they
right?
don't even give the time and temperature. They don't do sticker stops. They barely do remotes.
So what do they do for the community as a radio station? Do you know?
Yeah, I have no clue. I've been out of the biz
Nothing.
for,
This is it right here in one word.
Wow.
They do jack shit, and it stems from corporate suits not knowing the real.
You got bean counters running the business.
Yeah,
now.
you got corporate suits not really knowing the
It's
power
all about the bottom line.
and the impact of radio. Radio is direct, man. And
I wonder you could have a.
So Gary and I were on the programming side, and so we were on the expense side. And when sales wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing, selling advertising, well, guess who gets cut? People in the programming expense side. And so
let me ask you something. What did we?
But I never got fired.
Can you create your own radio station with local people that play music and put it out on a podcast?
You could do it pirate,
but you have to pay licensing fees
For what?
for the music.
for the music.
But if they're
You just can't put music on anywhere.
Say if I have a 5-year-old that just wants to sing his songs on a podcast, we have to pay for that license.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you have to pay.
Interesting.
It's a company or it's an organization called ASCAP.
ASCAP, BMI.
It's the American Society of Composers and Producers, right?
So you're telling me that nobody can come on a mic and sing it up on a podcast because they have to pay?
Yeah, somewhere. Well, if you get called out, like when we do the intro, you put on Wipeout, but we can only play so
I
much
don't
of
put
it.
it. It's Billy that does it.
Oh, now you're throwing it on me. huh?
we still
okay, I see how you want to act like you
we
want to
can't
be.
play
huh?
we can't play the whole song, otherwise we have to pay a licensing fee.
No, but I'm saying like any local artist that nobody knows and it doesn't have a record, so forth. But
you better have originals because you can't.
Yeah, originals. That's what I'm talking about.
Originals, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I thought you meant like
No.
playing something like Guantanamera.
no. I'm just talking about somebody that's just locally that doesn't have its original music.
Yeah, well,
But now you have a lot of like I work on an internet radio station.
No.
And so
Yeah,
so
he does.
what happened? What
does.
happened
I'm
last
just kidding. I know.
last June? See, our audience was growing. Right, we've been on the air like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
and our audience was growing. Well, the Live 365 people came to us and said, "Hey, they're increasing my BMI ASCAP fee on your radio station."
ASCAP,
So-
that's what she said.
Ass cap.
So I'm gonna
What
have
kind
to.
of cap
I'm
do you
gonna-
have in your ass?
I'm gonna have to start charging you guys more for the music you guys are playing. And so,
Boy, Billy, you walked right into that one, man. Look, here's the deal. First of all, I don't know anybody who hears radio. I really don't. It's all
I don't
it's
hear
either
any radio.
Sirius or the.
but who's the best goddamn travel DJ you've ever known, Gary?
Billy
Rodriguez?
Santiago.
You
Billy
damn
Santiago.
right.
Billy and I went to a concert in San Marcos this past weekend, and on the way back, he breaks out this little cord and he hooks it up to his phone. And I'm telling you, man, whatever I wanted to hear jazz. Boom, there's jazz. I wanted to hear oldies. Boom, there's the oldies. A little soul music. He put on some soul music, Temptations, country music. It's all there. And
He didn't like Alan Jackson for some reason. You don't like Alan Jackson?
I
Gary?
love Alan Jackson, just not all his songs.
Oh, okay.
You should
Yeah.
put Michael Bublé.
Fuck
No,
Michael Bublé.
I don't. He's a great
Fuck-
singer, though.
fuck him.
No, he's a good
Oh,
singer, Gary.
fuck
Come on, you got to give him his
no,
props,
I'm not
man.
giving
Come
him
on.
shit, man. I ain't giving him jack
Oh,
shit.
come on, man. He's
No.
just he's this generation's Frank Sinatra, man.
My
Michael Bublé.
ass.
He is.
He couldn't carry Frank Sinatra's fucking dirty socks, man.
Oh my.
But you know what, Billy? I'm sorry. That's my opinion. That's just my.
You know how I feel.
Michael Bublé, ladies and gentlemen.
That's my
Welcome
opinion, man.
to the Living Large
and I'm gonna tell you,
Theater.
I don't speak for Noe.
I feel.
I don't speak for Noe. I don't smoke. I don't speak for Billy either, man.
Breeze drifting on by.
All right, now they're going to charge you a
There you go,
licensing
man.
fee there. So we were part of the fabric of the community here. Radio, I think, shot itself by letting corporate suits come in and run shit they know nothing about. Billy and I used to enter chili cook-offs for charity events.
Hey, no. Gary and I would enter these chili cook-offs. Like one time we entered at Real Fest. There was only three cooks. We finished third.
Yeah. And on the island, we entered for something, and there were 7 cooks. We came in 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when I introduced Spassy Stuff
Spassy stuff. We had 2 kinds of chili. We had Spassy stuff
and Musical
and
Fire.
we had musical fire. and then lately,
He wasn't gassy or what?
Gary got together with Ward, and they were entered a chili cook-off at the island.
Yeah. We was robbed.
and Ward's in the house.
Ward's in the house.
Ward, we'll get Ward on the mic.
Talk about how we
Explain to
lost
us
that.
what happened,
The
Ward.
chili,
What happened,
The
man?
chili was great. Ward Thomas, Majestic
ours,
Studios.
Ours was for sure better, but Cody Pace beat us by 4 voting sticks.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
the way you voted was they give you 10 sticks when you walk in, and then you put your stick in wherever you think the chili people's bag, and we ended up 4 short. But there was a method to his madness. How did he do it?
Well, he knew everybody on the island, and I didn't know that was the way I didn't know that's the way the system worked. We'll get even next year.
Yeah.
Cody Pace is a rata.
And we had some damn good chili.
Now, Cody owns Tom and Jerry's at the island. Great hamburgers.
That is the spring break.
Family owns.
Oh, the family owns.
Okay,
it.
the family owns it. Okay.
That's the spring break destination. It's also going to be your summer headquarters on South Padre Island. Tom and Jerry's. That's exactly right. We also did a candlelight posada for the city of McAllen. I emceed that for
You and Tony Farina, right? When Tony was with
17 years. I think Tony came after me.
After you?
Yeah, I did it for the first 17 years. And it's weird how that happened because the Mad Mexican was supposed to do it. And they called him and said, "Hey, you ready?" He goes, "I don't feel good." So Dusty Hayes calls me. He goes, "Hey, Gary, you got to get to downtown McAllen." And I said, "For what?" And he goes, "Well, Mad Mexican's supposed to do something. He can't do it. He's sick. Shitting all over himself." I said, okay, well, where do I go? Archer Park. I go to Archer Park. Well, I had just been out hunting. And, I'm wearing blue jeans. I'm wearing a field jacket. I'm wearing muddy boots. But I'm a company guy. I go out there, and this guy, Larry Pressler, looks at me, and he goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Gary Rodriguez, B104. I'm here to take over whatever the Mad Mexican was supposed to do." He goes, "Not dressed like that, you're not."
Oh, he made you go home?
No. He goes, "Here. Take your field jacket off," and he gave me his sport coat.
Oh, nice.
And he goes, "Stand behind the podium so nobody sees your dirty boots and your bloody blue jeans, and just read what we give you." So I ended up doing that. After that year, I did it for another 17 years. It was a great thing, and it was a true posada celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ and Christmas. So. That's another example of what we did. Gary's gloves. I was coaching my son at the Boys and Girls Club in McAllen. I realized that a lot of the kids on my team had no gloves. So I'm thinking, well, I'll just start talking about it on the radio. Sure enough, I said, "Hey, look, we're going to start a thing, Gary's gloves. If you have an old baseball glove you're not needing that we can give to a kid at the Boys and Girls Club." Next thing I know, we have like 60 gloves right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a lot of fun, though, coaching your son in baseball?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember those days, man.
I coached Scotchy and Tiger, and it was, I did it. I don't know baseball, but I had time.
You see, that's why the radio station has gone to shit pretty much, because you guys did a lot for the community. You were involved. You were there. You announced a lot of things. You introduced a lot of things to the community. Period.
But you know what? We didn't even think about it. We never said no to any of it.
I didn't set out to set the record for selling
So
Girl
you guys
Scout
were
cookies.
you guys were yes man.
No,
it was
I'm
all
a party
about
man. I would make a party out of, if somebody had a funeral and we went, it's going to be a party afterwards.
We had hurricane parties, man. During hurricane season.
We've had those too.
I mean, the news talks and the news stations, they would report the hurricanes, and you tune into B104. We're having a hurricane party.
Yeah, we've had those before, but yeah, you guys were so involved with the community, and now
it was natural. We didn't even try. It was
but now you can't even do that because everybody's not listening to the radio.
Well, let me tell you what happened one time. There was a nonprofit that was doing an event in Mercedes at the stock show. And we let them come on our air and talk about their event and everything. Well, come to find out, they were taking the money people were donating for the event and pocketing it. So our company made a policy statement saying any nonprofit that wants to get on our air to promote their event needs to provide us with a
501c3.
There you go.
Yeah, the certificate.
501c3 certificate saying you're
that you're
nonprofit.
Real, you're bona fide.
Right. And so that we had to start doing that because people were taking advantage of opportunities we were given. Not everybody was doing that.
Of course not. Most of them were legit. Let's say hi again to White Sands Marina Inn and Suites in Port Isabel. Veteran owned and by Arnold and Corina Flores, White Sands offers a beautiful hotel, a full-service restaurant, and an awesome bar. In addition, White Sands is on the water and gives you access to the best boat captains in South Texas. White Sands Marina Inn and Suites. Book your stay now at WSInnandSuites.com. The Texas sportsman, Fred Rodriguez, recognized by the Texas Senate as a premier hunting and fishing guide in South Texas, and Ward Thomas and Majestic Studios. If you're ready to record your next hit record, why not do it here at Majestic Studios. And before we sign off, Noe, first of all, thank you so much. You've gotten us to season 5. Billy, thank you so much. You're always entertaining. You're a wealth of knowledge. And I want to unveil right now. I've written a letter to President Trump about Freddie Gonzalez to get him re-recognized. I know why the recognition was pulled as soon as Trump took office. It's because Freddie Gonzalez and a lot of other people were listed as Hispanic American in the Navy. Trump is yanking all that racial separation bullshit. Freddie Gonzalez was an American serving in the Navy and the Marine Corps. The Marines are under the Navy. So here's my letter to President Trump. The Honorable President Donald J. Trump, 1700 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., 20500. Dear President Trump, this is Gary Rodriguez. I wrote you 3 letters during your first term. You were kind enough to write me back. Thank you. I'm writing on behalf of the late Vietnam War hero and Medal of Honor recipient and Edinburgh, Texas native Alfredo Gonzalez. I agree that Marine Corps Sergeant Freddie Gonzalez should never have been classified as an Hispanic American in the Navy. Rather, he should have been recognized as an American war hero killed in action while serving as a Marine in Vietnam. Sergeant Gonzalez died protecting his Marines in the Battle of Hue City in Vietnam. Will you please consider restoring meaningful recognition to Marine Corps Sergeant Alfredo Gonzalez? Thank you, Mr. President, and keep up the great work, Gary Rodriguez.
It's awesome, Gary. Good
Real
luck
quick,
to you, man.
Real quick, guys. On May 10th, 2022 is when we started our very first podcast. So this will be 3
coming
years.
up on 3 years.
On YouTube's?
No, on the public
Oh,
library.
you're going.
Yeah. It'll be our 3rd year.
Nice.
on
But season
May-
5, because we
We cut the seasons out, but it'll
Yeah.
be 3 years that we've been on. So.
boom. I'm going to
So
tell you,
are we
man.
going to have an anniversary party?
We have
third
to.
annual?
Yeah, we have to, man.
Okay.
Probably go down to White Sands or something,
Yeah,
man.
invite
I like that
somebody.
idea.
I'm going to throw this out there again. Everybody says, "Oh, I heard your podcast. I think I can do a better job than you." And I say, "You know what?
Go right ahead.
Here's
Do it.
Noe's phone number.
Do it.
Call him up and get going." You know, it's easy to say that you can do better, but so far nobody's done it.
All right, Gary Rodriguez, Noe Ayala. It's Living Large Theater at livinglargetheater@gmail.com. We're available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime, and also on YouTube now. Just hashtag Living Large Theater Podcast. Reach out to us if you want to become a sponsor, 956-451-1633. Rate our podcast, share with a friend, leave us a comment, and also hit that subscribe button. Till the next episode, you keep living large because you know we're living large.